Hello, Jarkesha. Welcome to Unabashed You.
Hi.
So fun to have you. I enjoy, connecting and getting to know people I didn't know before. And this platform obviously gives me the opportunity to do that. And so let's get to know you a little bit more. Is there anything you want the listeners to know about you as we get started here?
Well, I'll tell y'all one fun fact about me. A lot of people don't know my profession that I do by day. I am what they call a cytotechnologist, and
What is that?
we work under pathologists and we look at cells to see if they're normal, abnormal, or cancerous. And our primary specimen we look at actually is the pap smear. And we look at any fine needle
Wow.
aspiration in the body. So a lot of people don't know anything about us. They don't know, like most people, like, they don't. Whenever you have a pap smear, nobody thinks about where it goes. You're like, it's over, it's done. I don't care what. You just want to get, the results back. But that's what we do. I see cancer probably at least a couple times out of the week. If not, not every day,
Wow.
but at least a couple times of the week we do see it. But we're the ones who actually make the diagnosis before the pathologist, and they have to agree with us or disagree with our diagnosis.
Wow, what a job. And obviously, each one you're looking at, you want to be very thorough and do it with great care because, there is a person attached to that that's waiting to hear what the findings are.
Yes, they are. Yes, you have to look at it because you never know. Each person that is a person, and you have to be thorough and really pay attention to everything that you're doing and the details. And the smallest little minute thing could be the one thing that, could make a cell be normal or abnormal.
I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. Right, because you said, and you're doing that, and then the pathologist is the person who sees it next to either
Yes.
agree or whatever, or not agree with your findings. So I guess as a sometime patient, it's nice to hear there are steps involved, and it's not just one person taking a quick look. And did they have a good day? Are they having a bad day? I mean,
Yeah.
gosh. Jarkesha, what three words would you use to describe yourself?
Three words. I thought about that. I was like, if you notice when I laugh, I smile a lot. So people probably say I'm like sunshine. So sunshine is definitely one. Colorful, I would say, and the people laugh when I say colorful. I'm like because I'm real bubbly and just I love bright colors and things like that. And then the other one I would say is caring because I'm always caring and checking on people and seeing how they're doing. So
Well,
those would be the three words I would use to describe me.
oh, that's wonderful. And I can see from looking at you right now that you are sunshine and you are definitely colorful and you just have this effervescence around you. That's great. And of course, being a caring person, would love that. We need that, right?
Yes, we do a whole lot.
Yes. All right. Two truths and a lie. Do you know how to play this? Will you say three things about yourself and I tell you, I decide which one might be the lie?
Okay. So my bachelor's is in animal and poultry science. I have three tattoos and also that I am right now the only full-time person working in my department.
Oh, wow. This is okay. These are very interesting because they're kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? You didn't just pick like one area. Um, okay, let's see. Your bachelor's is in animal poultry science. Oh my gosh, I hope that's true. And you've got three tattoos. So you did a number on the tattoos. So that is tricky because maybe you have two, maybe you have four, maybe you don't have any. That one's tricky. And you are the one full-time person at work. So that makes it sound like there are part-time people, but that you're the only full-time person. Okay, I'm gonna go with my little gut thing here because of the numbers. So I'm gonna say the three tattoo one is the lie. How'd I do?
You did great. I only have two. I don't have three. I
Okay.
have two.
Okay, very good. Love that. Okay, so you do have a bachelor's in animal poultry. What I mean, I don't even know what that is. I mean, what it sounds like is that you learn a lot about is this in terms of turning animals and poultry into food?
No, it's in animal and poultry science. So we did, it's one of the degrees a lot of people go into when they want to go to vet school. And so my
Ah,
freshman year of college, the first semester, one of our professors, he showed us there were other avenues besides just vet school. So
ah,
I've always wanted to do cancer research. So that kind of goes along with what I'm doing right now. Somewhat like get working in the lab and going behind the scenes and doing things. Even though most people, I've always been told I have way too much personality to be working behind four walls. But I get out and I do go talk to people. So it's not like I'm just stuck there to my desk. And
oh
yes, I
gosh.
am presently the supervisor in my department. And I, as of recently, became the only full-time person. So I do have people that are as needed that work up under me, and I have full-time other techs. But as far as what I do, I'm the only full-time person.
Oh, because you're the supervisor now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, you're doing important work.
Yes.
Wow, well, I'm just so thrilled to hear that, this animal and poultry science degree kind of led you into this. You already had a passion for cancer research, so now you're getting to really do that thing. That is so cool. Well, okay. One of your favorite movies of all time.
When I tell people this, they look at me funny. And I always laugh. But I love the movie Twister, the original Twister, not the newest one they remade, the Twisters. I love Twister. And most people like, what? Why do you like that movie? And it's just always a movie that's kind of stuck with me along the way was Twister, not Twisters. And I don't know if
Right.
it's the flying cow. I don't know if it's my fascination sometimes with, with science and weather. Because most of the time people used to call me the weather person because when a severe storm was coming, I'm like glued to the TV, like, what is going on? Do we need to go downstairs? Do we need to do? And I'm telling them like this is here and now, it's in this area and all these things. So that may be why my love for science and just the fact of weather. Like I'm not the person that's gonna be chasing tornadoes. No. I would probably be of course hiding and taking cover. But that has always just been my favorite movie. And most people just like when I tell them that they're like, I was like, it's just part of me and who I am. And yes, I'm a little interesting and weird with things, but that's one of my favorite movies, though, is
Well,
Twister.
but that's what's so great about every person is different, and you get to like what you like, you know what? And you get to be you. And Twister, that was Helen Hunt, right? Helen Hunt,
Yes.
and then
Uh-huh.
I think Bill Paxton, is he the other?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So yes, I do remember that movie, and I remember the flying cow, and I don't know how they did that, but it was very realistic looking. And yes, it does merge your fascination with weather and your science, your love for science. I think that it's just right. That's just, our favorite movies, like, not that there's one, it's a favorite movie. Like you might have 10 or 20 that you just really love, but it continues to paint this picture of who you are, beyond the words that you use: sunshine, colorful, caring. And now we know that, you've got this love of weather and science and cancer research. And so it's starting to really paint a beautiful picture. Thank you for that.
You're
Name a person who's somebody that really inspires you.
I was sitting there, I was thinking, I was like, oh my goodness. I said it could be a common answer. Most people are going to say like a relative or they're going to say different things. So I was just sitting there really thinking like who inspires me. So it kind of went one way. I'm going to go the what relative route, but also I thought about Jesus as well. So my relative, I said my mom. And the reason I said my mom is because, just always seeing her pushing even when she's tired, even when she doesn't feel like going, she's always going to be the one that's like pushing. Even
Oh,
like she was like most of the time she's like she might be hurting, but she keeps going. She doesn't just give up. And she's also been one of those people that's very determined. So when people weren't able to help her her being a single parent, she always was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to do it myself. And
wow.
it's been, good things and bad with that because sometimes we pick up other habits when we don't always let other people help us like we need to, and I'm guilty of that.
Mhm.
So it's one of those seeing just her being very independent and it also helping me to learn like basic things that a lot of times some women may not understand, like operating your car. I've drove an old vehicle for a long time, so I was always told to learn how to, check your oil and put oil in the car at one time, put transmission fluid in the car, all these things. things that most people don't even know. So when I'm telling them things about, they're like, "What do you know?" And that was because my mom had people that came and helped, but it also we learned how to do things. I always say like, want to learn how to change a tire and do all these things. So just seeing a lot of the things that she has done, just by herself, just learning, like watching from other people doing it. And that made you also, but also being able to ask for help as well. So that's one
Right.
of the things is picking up more asking for help.
Right, right. And I like, you choosing your mom because you observed her doing these things. It's not like she sat you down and said, "Okay, Jarkesha, you've got to do X, Y, and Z." She did X, Y, and Z, and you saw that, and you were like a little sponge, and you absorbed all that, and you felt like that. I need to be that way. I want to be that way too. That's cool.
Yes.
Very nice. All right. What about a piece of wisdom you keep handy?
One of the things I take is, and just over time, is like they say, everybody's not your friend, and everybody that says that they're for you is not really for you. And my mom and I really recently had a conversation about that recently, and just even growing up, I have a daughter and she's 7. So one of the things is she's always like my friend, and we're like, no, everybody's not your friend. Yes, that's somebody you might play with, but really learning that everybody is not your friend. That's the biggest wisdom that I do take with me is like being mindful of who you share things with and open up to, and learning the hard way too along in life that everybody who says that they are your friend are not your friend, because sometimes people are just wanting to get your information and be able to use it against you, or add to the conversation when people are talking about you.
That is we have not had anything like that before, but I like that it's very realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody is not everybody is for you.
Mm-hmm.
That- yes. Now, is that something you grew up hearing from your mom, or did you just sort of conclude that based on your own life experiences?
No, it was my mom used to tell me that because I used to always say my friend all the time. I would always call people my friend. And
Wow.
she'll be like, everybody's not your friend. And then I'll be like, what do you mean? And then you learn on your own, like everybody is not your friend, because people will, talk about you behind your back, growing up and things like that. So that was one of the ways it was like, no, everybody's not, even as an adult, you get to see that most people are your associates. They're not your friends, they're your associates. So, but
Okay.
then you also learn that your circle is not this huge circle. You get close to certain people that you can truly trust that are going to really be there for you. And also, that's when you find out who your true friends are when you're going through struggles in life. It's the people that are actually there with you along the way, not the people who show up after the fact, or they don't even, step out even during the midst of your trials and troubles.
Very good. I can remember one guest saying, "Find your people." So this is kind of
Hmm.
this is a little bit, similar to that, finding your people. Not everybody is your people, right? Wow, fascinating. I just so appreciate everything that you are bringing to me today, to us today. All right, now it's time for our deep dive, and as you know, we're doing a series on mental health that we're calling it Let's Talk About Mental Health. So we're going to have a conversation around that. Can you describe a time of mental health struggle of either your own or a loved one?
Well, presently, I would say I could tell you a couple different ones, and they're all related more so to myself. But the most recent one is I recently just lost my husband. He
Oh,
passed away unexpectedly back in
oh,
August. So that has affected my mental
oh
health
my
in my world right now. But also, December 11th of 2020, I
God.
lost my father to death by suicide, and that was 2 weeks prior to Christmas. So it's mental health has been like a big thing, and not only that, with me dealing with my own struggles along with those things happening. So I have been a person before that has dealt with suicidal ideation. I remember even back in 2014, I was like, y'all don't need me here anymore, because I was just tired of being of a repetitive cycle of debt and going through the same thing over and over. But the biggest thing now is really honing into my mental health with when I had my daughter, and I used to have real bad anxiety. And even through as a teenager, I also dealt with depression. A lot of people wouldn't know that because I was always the happy-go-lucky, bubbly person. So they never knew that. So when I lost my father, it really pushed more because they had asked us not to talk about his passing because my dad was a preacher. He was a pastor. And so I found an outlet where I started a podcast back then and started having people sharing their stories and testimonies on how they overcame a tough season. I love to talk. So it was one of those things. It was my outlet to be able to, interview people and have them share. And I also share my stories. But the biggest thing is I'm a big advocate for mental health. I became a mental health first aid instructor, but I was gifted that opportunity. I was a became a mental health first aider first through my job. And then somebody else saw the passion that I have for it with telling people like checking on your people. That's what Chop. I'm with Chop with Jam. Chop is for check on your people. I used to always do Chop Wednesdays and have people to check on someone, check on your strong friend, check on that friend. And it's very something I'm very passionate about because especially in the faith-based community, because we don't talk about it a whole lot. And a lot of people are going through a struggle. And I always remind myself every day that somebody's going through something. We may not talk about it, we may not share it, and even it's just part of something that I do. Most people are like, she's always so bubbly and happy. And I tell people all the time, I go see my counselor. I'm like, I'll be back. I'm going to my counseling session. And I have no shame in it, nothing. I'm always telling people, mostly, probably almost everybody needs somebody to talk to, whether it be a therapist or a counselor. And so with me recently, like losing my husband, that kind of goes into the community of people
Mm.
showing up and being my friends and being there, and they're fussing at me also because what I told you is not asking for help. So that's one of the things that deals with me and my mental health is actually asking people for help, people really wanting to help you, truly trusting people to help you. And I call what I call reverse chop is letting people know that you need help. Because somebody asked me, well, how can somebody help you if they don't even know that you need help? So sometimes we have to express to others that we need help ourselves. It's not all about just you. We weren't made to do life alone. We're supposed to do life together. So that's the biggest thing that I'm going through right now. I know a lot of people like, you're smiling, you're showing up and doing all these things. And I'm like, that's just my heart for people and what I am. I don't want to wait till I've gone through what I'm going through. I'd rather share my story while I'm going through what I'm going through.
Ah, share your story during. Oh, wow. That's very impactful. Well, first of all, obviously, I feel sorrow hearing about your dad and also hearing about your husband. Nobody ever, I mean, everybody you love, you're either going to go or they're going to go. And that's
Hmm.
just, that's the reality of this life. No one is staying. Everyone's going to go at some point.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously very sad that your dad gave in to that urge. And I'm so sorry about that. And you're not even 6 months into this loss of your husband, and you are, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm just, it's remarkable how you're presenting as a very grateful, joyous individual. How are you doing that?
Just a lot of I think what I always look back at things, everything happens in our life at different points, and I've dealt with a lot of loss of people very close to me over my lifetime, whether I don't have any living grandparents. So I got to know at least one of my great grandmothers, and I've lost a lot of people close to me. I had to put one of my dog down I had for almost 15 years, and that was about half of my life during that time when I put her down. I lost my grandma in that same year, my mother's mom, and I lost my guy best friend that was younger than me during that time. So I've dealt with a lot of loss, and I feel like my husband had a stroke back in June of 2020, and he was only 43 then when he had his stroke. And so he was 47 when he passed away, and just of last week would have been his birthday. So I just celebrated my first birthday, without him, and then raising our daughter as a single parent. Like I told people, I became a widow and a single parent all in the same day. And it was all here at our house that I come to every day. And but the way I do it is I go to counseling. I tell anybody I have no shame in it. I've been going for years, but now I go to her more regularly and I share and I open up. And if people really check on me now, even though they're all loving my chop. When I wanted to give up chop at one point, they were like, no, you're not. You're not doing that. We know how important this is to you. So now people are checking on me and be like, I'm just chopping. I'm just doing, just seeing how you doing. Like, how are you really doing? Because that's what I tell people. We're always like, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm okay. Right now, my answer mostly is I'm okay. And that's just being honest. And some people will take that with the circumstances that are going on. I cry
Yeah.
when I need to cry. People tell me if I need to cry at work, you better cry. Close your door now that I have a door. And if you need to cry, people always are like, you're okay. And I'm getting more to like my counselor told me if I don't let the tears out, they're going to be waiting on me. So sometimes, they'll be waiting for you because, we'll try to hold it in. And sometimes it hits you in the most inconvenient areas. But it's one of those things, it kind of goes back to the wisdom that you asked that question about the wisdom I've earned. With me losing my husband the way I did, it was a normal day. And then we found out that my now ex-sister-in-law, her twin brother had passed away that morning, that Saturday morning, and by 12:19 that Sunday morning, my husband was deceased.
Oh,
So I look at things now differently as in focusing on today. That's the biggest thing I've taken from it is taking focus on today because tomorrow's, as we know, tomorrow's not guaranteed. But a lot of times we make so much plans for the future or what we want, or we worry so much about it, or we live so much in the past that we can't even cherish today. So my thing is if it's something you can do today that is not gonna, stress you out or is illegal, then go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. But other than that, because like that your next breath's not even promised to you. So I just look at life a little bit differently. I mean, and one of the things even I would talk about death to people. It never really bothered me as much. And I lost when I was in like high school the guy that was like would have been my mom's third husband. He was like a father to me. And I lost him when I was in high school and he died of a massive heart attack unexpectedly. And I always just remember even seeing the loss of things, how my mom, even then, they were like, you got to be strong for your mom and you got to be strong. And so many people always like, you so strong. And I'm like, I have my moments. I let it out when I need to. I said for a while I would play that over and over that night. Still do sometimes. But I think I always look at God preparing us for the things that are next. Even though it hurts, even though you don't want to experiencing and go through it, but I always feel like even once he had his stroke, and thank God even with his stroke he was just it was cognitive. It was more he already had ADHD, so his balance was off, so he walked with a cane regularly. But other than that, he was okay. He started being able where he could cook. So I looked at it, well, Lord, you gave me 4 more years with them. So even we were married for 8 years, as of June of last year, and we would have been together for 9 years as of October of last year. So half of our marriage, really, we were being a caregiver. My mom was helping. So I think back to things when God was preparing you for things, because even that day, I think about some of the moments we had in that weekend, and even before that, we actually got to go visit some of his family he hadn't seen since he laid his own father to rest, and that had been like a 9 year gap. So the way I just end up making it is my faith. I tell people if I didn't have faith, I wouldn't even be here. Like I told you earlier, I've had suicidal ideation. So if it wasn't for me holding on to my faith and holding on to community and really stepping more into seeing like, okay, my purpose and my calling, then I wouldn't even be here to have this conversation.
right. Well, I really like that you mentioned purpose and calling. And so you continue to do those things you feel God has prepared you for and placed in your heart to do. That is absolutely wonderful. How do you think we can remove some of the stigma around mental health? I feel like it's improving, but I feel like we've got a way to go. What are your thoughts on that?
One of the things I always say, yes, we're removing it, but I think we don't talk about it still enough, or provide the resources for people, because some people still look down on you if you go to counseling or if you go see a therapist. They don't always, and some people just don't go because depending on their background, like they always like in certain cultures you grew up saying, you don't tell everybody all your business, and some people are afraid to open up. And the reason I say they're afraid to open up is because they're worried about how people are going to receive them, what people are
Right.
going to think about them. And I'm like, and that's one of the things when you do open up, because I tell somebody I have a presentation I do called the first encounter make a difference. And where it came about is that things to do and things not to do when somebody opens up to you. Because if you're dismissive, or you just tell them, oh, just go pray about it, or oh, just don't, you'll be okay, and oh, this will pass, or you try to fix them. People don't want you to fix them. A lot of times people just want somebody to listen and to hear. And I feel like just spreading more information because people, what really is eye-opening when you do an out of the darkness walk, and that's a walk that they do all throughout the United States for suicide prevention from the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. And I think the biggest eye-opening thing is one I know here in Alabama, they have shoes they line up along the walking trail. And it goes by age group, and each shoe represents a person. So when you see the smallest age group was like 5 to 9 at one point, that
Mm,
really should be eye-opening to you to say, okay, we need to do more, and now that's why they have like the mental health first aid in schools and being able to recognize the signs because a lot of times we look for the sad person. We always checking on the people that are crying and, balled up, but a lot of times it's the people that's the happiest, the people that seem like they have it all
ah,
together are the people you should
interesting.
be checking on. Some, not saying don't check on the other ones, but also check on just anybody. If somebody starts always, they're always so happy, like, okay, you always, what is really going on? Like I tell people, I'm really just a happy-go-lucky person, but I do have things that are going on also. But also a lot of times it's not the obvious. So really, if you see somebody that you're around all the time, I feel like we should check on each other more than we do. I always tell people, like, if you can't check, if somebody comes to your mind and you can't stop and do it right then, write it down and come back and do it later and check on
Wow.
that person. But when you're actually checking on them and listening, just listen. Don't always try to fix it. Don't always try to have an answer. Just sometimes just sit there and let somebody vent to you. And then if they need help, then step out and help them. So that's one of the things I just think we need to have more conversations. We need to sit down more. We're all in, even if you got your phone, you can send a text message. You can send a and you can schedule text message. So it's really not a reason not to, because you can go
Right.
in and schedule and be like, okay, well, I can't do it now, or leave a note or put something to go check on someone. And that's one of the things I think the biggest thing is not making it about self all the time, but making it about other people and really seeing how people do, whether it be a stranger, or whoever it may be. If God is pushing you to go check on them, then go ask that person, like, hey, I don't know you, but I just felt like, how are you doing? And that asking somebody how you are doing or how are you can make their day, because a lot of people seem like they're not seen or they're
Oh,
not heard. And that's what a lot of people just want, is somebody to just see them. A lot of people feel invisible. And I don't think it needs to just be certain sections of people. I think it just needs to be where, all around, that we just check on each other.
right. Well, that is very practical, doable advice, really, when you think about it, what you're saying. Uh, Checking on people, listening, not necessarily having the solution. Although they may want some help with that too, but not being always ready just to fix it. Um, yeah, the checking on people and that the education that it might not be the one who's seemingly sad, it might be somebody else. I
Mhm.
guess maybe one, and maybe you can tell me if this seems correct to you. They just seem a little different than how they normally are. Would that be kind of a
Mhm.
way you would kind of be an indicator for you?
Yes, that would be one of the indicators when people start, if it's somebody who's always a certain way and they start kind of acting out of character at times, or even you just notice they're like, even if they're bubbly, they're like extra clingy or extra bubbly and all the things, you may still want to ask them, like, hey, you good? Everything okay? Or even sometimes when people get quiet, I'm talkative, but I get quiet, and some people worry when I get quiet. They're like, she's up. I'm like, no, sometimes I just have quiet moments. But then there are sometimes that you be like, okay, really, how are you doing? And some people that are around you enough, even I had a coworker, he used to know when something was wrong. I didn't have to say much or anything. And he would wait till everybody's gone. He's like, okay, everybody's going, what's really wrong with you now? Like, what's going on? And then we would open up and I would have a conversation. But it's waiting to those right times and moments and just being able to check on people, just really
Right.
asking them, or even just say, like, hey, how are you really doing? Like, somebody could just be quiet, and sometimes you can look and see it in their body language. And sometimes, people will smile one minute and they walk off and then they're not smiling. Like I said, it's not always the tears, but it's somebody you may notice something's just a little bit off, like, okay. And you may just feel it in your gut, like something else is going on, but I'm going to check on that person.
Right. That is very good advice. Really fabulous. And it sounds like your coworker also kind of had some intuition, like he could like
Hmm.
sense, not, some people are able to do that.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, do you still have your podcast?
No, I stopped doing it back in like I think I did it for like a year. I think about it sometimes, but I was like, people don't realize it's a lot of work that goes in. You can start one, but it's a lot with the editing. And I used to do like two interviews on the weekend. And some people like bring it back. I even had one lady, she wanted to take over my podcast. She was like, "Can I take?" I'm like, "No, that's my baby. No, I'm not giving it up." But I did start doing some things with YouTube. Like I have a YouTube channel. It's not as many things on there, but I just like talking to people. So I did have like encouragement talks, TV, where I either share something or I've interviewed some people on different topics and things. So I'm just like right now, I'm just speaking more than anything because I'm like using my voice and getting the message out there and not so much hiding behind my words, but really just trying to stay in whatever season that I'm in right now in this season of transition, but really wanted
Right,
to share with people, like I always say, most people rather hear when you're going through things than when you've gone through it. Like they want to know about it as you're going through. Not saying I would go show up and be boohooing or things like that, but really just letting people know like this hurts, and I am hurting, but at the same time, and I'm still gonna show up and I'm still gonna do what God has called me to do. So
excellent. That is excellent. So where can people find you?
they can find me on Instagram at Chop with Jam. And you can find me on Facebook if you can look under Chop with Jam on there as well, or Jarkeshia McGahee. You'll find me there also.
Okay, tell me about the jam part. The chop part I get. Now let's break that down because it took me a while to figure this out when I looked at your website. CH is for check, as in
Uh-huh.
check. O is for on, P is for
Hmm.
people, check on people, chop.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about the jam part.
Jam is actually my initials.
Oh my
My initials used to
gosh.
be, actually it was funny. I used to be a jar and then I became a jam. So
Okay.
yeah, I use my initials because most people, some people call me jam or I use my initials all the time for things. And some people call me Jar Jar because of Jarkeisha. So I just used jam as my initials. Something different. I'm like, nobody's not going to really be after that. I don't think it's no many jams. But what actually the chop part, I used to just say check on your people, check on your people, check on your people, as I told you on Wednesdays. And one of the ladies that I call my warrior sister, Miss Doris, she was like, she likes to play on words and come up with, names and stuff. So she was like, I just keep hearing chop. I just see check on your peeps, check on your peeps. So I just took what she had and went with. I always give people one thing I say to anybody: if you gave me something, I'm gonna give you your credit. I'm not taking no credit for it. So she's the one that kind of said the chop is what she kept getting, and I kept going with it. And I had to tell people we're not chopping anybody. We're checking on our people because I think I got flagged on like Facebook or some one time because I was like, it's Chop Wednesday. And so I'm like, no, I had to start spelling it out so nobody didn't think I was talking about we're going to chop people.
Oh, that's so funny. And your YouTube channel, is that also Chop with
It's no, it's Encouragement Talks TV.
Encouragement Talk TV? Okay, wonderful. Well, it has just been such a pleasure, Jarkesha. I'm so happy we got connected through, and we'll give credit where credit is due, through Jess Williams,
Yes.
Warrior Women in Christ on Instagram. So thank you, Jess. And thank you so much, Jarkesha. What a pleasure this has been.
Oh yes, it's been good. Thank you for inviting me.